The rain-slicked streets of Manhattan shimmered under the glow of 1,000 neon signs, casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the sleek black Bentley as it glided to a stop outside Le Bernardin. Ethan Caldwell, tech billionaire and CEO of Horizon Innovations, adjusted his cufflinks, the faint clink of platinum echoing in the quiet cabin. Beside him, Sophia, his girlfriend of 6 months, smoothed the silk of her emerald dress, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. The restaurant's reputation for exquisite seafood and intimate ambience had made it her choice for their rare night out, a brief escape from Ethan's relentless schedule of boardrooms and breakthroughs. Ready to be dazzled? Sophia teased, her French accent softening the edges of her words as she leaned closer, her perfume a subtle blend of jasmine and ambition. Ethan flashed a boyish grin, the kind that had closed billion-dollar deals and melted hearts in equal measure. Only if they start serving binary code with the lobster. He opened the door, stepping into the drizzle, and extended a hand to her. The city pulsed around them, alive with the hum of taxis and the distant laughter of strangers. For a moment, Ethan felt weightless, unburdened by the empire he'd built or the ghosts he'd left behind. Inside, the maitre d' ushered them to a corner table, its crisp white linen glowing under a crystal chandelier. The air carried the faint tang of sea salt and butter, and Sophia's delighted gasp at the menu drew a chuckle from Ethan. He was halfway through recommending the Dover sole when a shadow fell across the table, not a literal one, but a shift in the air, a prickle at the back of his neck. He looked up, and the world tilted. There, across the dining room, stood Claire, his ex-wife. Her auburn hair was swept into a loose bun, her frame draped in a simple black dress that did little to hide the unmistakable curve of her pregnant belly. She was laughing, her hand resting on the arm of a man Ethan didn't recognize, a tall figure in a tailored suit with salt and pepper hair. Claire's eyes hadn't found him yet, but Ethan's heart was already racing, a collision of memory and reality he hadn't braced for. Ethan? Sophia's voice cut through, gentle but probing. You look like you've seen a ghost. He forced a smile, his mind scrambling. Just, someone I used to know. He didn't elaborate, and Sophia, perceptive as ever, didn't press. But her gaze followed his, landing on Claire just as Claire turned. Their eyes met, Ethan and Claire, 2 years and a lifetime apart. Her smile faltered, then softened into something unreadable, a mix of surprise and something deeper, something that tugged at the threads of their shared past. 2 years ago, Ethan and Claire had been the golden couple of Silicon Valley. He, the visionary coding prodigy turned CEO. She, the brilliant environmental lawyer who could sway a courtroom as easily as she could a charity gala. Their marriage had been a whirlwind of passion and purpose, built on late-night debates about the future and shared dreams of changing the world. But Ethan's ambition had outpaced their love. Horizon's meteoric rise demanded every piece of him, nights, weekends, even the quiet mornings they'd once spent tangled in each other's arms. Claire had begged for balance, for a life beyond the glow of screens and stock tickers. He promised to try, but promises were no match for the siren call of innovation. When she left, it wasn't with anger but with a quiet resignation that hurt more than any fight could have. Now, here she was, radiant and pregnant, her hand resting protectively over her belly. Ethan's mind raced with questions he had no right to ask. Who was the man beside her? How far along was she? And why, after all this time, did seeing her still feel like a punch to the chest? Ethan, do you want to talk about it? Sophia's voice was soft, her hand brushing his. She wasn't jealous, Sophia didn't do jealousy, but her curiosity was palpable, her warmth a reminder of why he'd fallen for her. She was a journalist, a rising star at the New York Times, with a knack for uncovering truths without judgment. Ethan shook his head, forcing his focus back to the menu. Let's just enjoy tonight, he said, but the words felt hollow. The rest of the meal passed in a blur of polite conversation and exquisite flavors Ethan barely tasted. Sophia carried the evening with her effortless charm, recounting a recent interview with a climate activist, but Ethan's eyes kept drifting to Claire's table. She hadn't looked his way again, but he could feel her presence like a gravitational pull. As the waiter cleared their plates, Ethan excused himself, claiming a need for air. He stepped into the restaurant's foyer, the murmur of diners fading behind him. The rain had stopped, leaving the city air crisp and heavy with possibility. He didn't plan to approach her, but when Claire emerged from the restroom, their paths collided as if scripted by fate. Ethan, she said, her voice steady but laced with something fragile. Up close, her green eyes held the same fire he remembered, tempered now by a quiet strength. It's been a while. Yeah. He swallowed, searching for words. You look happy. His gaze flicked to her belly, and she instinctively touched it, a small smile breaking through. "I am," she said. 6 months along. A girl. Her tone was warm but guarded, as if measuring how much to share. "This is unexpected, I know." "Congratulations," he managed, the word feeling inadequate. "Whose?" He gestured vaguely toward the dining room, where her companion waited. "David. My husband." The word landed like a stone in Ethan's chest, though he had no right to feel anything. "He's a pediatrician. We met at a fundraiser last year." Ethan nodded, processing. "He seems good for you." "He is." Claire's eyes softened, but there was no malice in them, no triumph. Just truth. "Ethan, I don't regret what we had, but I needed more than you could give back then." The words stung, not because they were cruel, but because they were true. He'd failed her, not out of malice but out of neglect, prioritizing his empire over their love. "I'm sorry," he said, the apology spilling out before he could stop it. "For everything." She studied him, then nodded. "I forgave you a long time ago. I hope you found what you were chasing." Before he could respond, David appeared, his arm sliding around Claire's waist with an ease that spoke of trust. "Everything okay?" he asked, his tone friendly but protective. "Yeah," Claire said, leaning into him. "Just catching up." She glanced at Ethan one last time. "Take care, Ethan." As they returned to their table, Ethan stood frozen, the weight of her words settling over him. He could have gone back to Sophia, to the life he was building, but something in him had shifted. Claire's happiness, her new beginning, wasn't a rebuke, it was a mirror, reflecting the man he'd become and the one he still could be. Back at the table, Sophia was waiting, her expression unreadable. "You knew her well," she said, not a question. "My ex-wife," Ethan admitted, the words heavy but necessary. "We ended things 2 years ago. I didn't know she'd be here." Sophia nodded, her journalist's instincts catching every nuance. "Do you want to tell me about her?" He hesitated, then let the story spill, their whirlwind romance, the cracks that formed under the weight of his ambition, the divorce that left him richer but emptier. Sophia listened, her silence a gift, her questions gentle but incisive. By the time he finished, the restaurant was emptying, the night stretching toward midnight. "She's happy now," Ethan said, almost to himself. "And I'm figuring it out." Sophia reached for his hand. "You're not the man you were 2 years ago, Ethan. I see the way you mentor your team, the way you fund scholarships for kids who remind you of yourself. You're trying to do good. That counts." Her words were a lifeline, pulling him back from the edge of regret. But they also sparked something else, a restless need to act, to prove he could be more than the man who'd let Claire slip away. Over the next few days, that restlessness grew, fueled by memories of Claire's passion for environmental causes and Sophia's quiet belief in his potential. Ethan began researching, diving into Horizon's sustainability initiatives, which he'd always delegated to others. He discovered gaps, missed opportunities to reduce the company's carbon footprint, to invest in renewable energy, to support communities impacted by tech's relentless march. One evening, as he and Sophia shared takeout in his penthouse, he told her about an idea, a foundation, funded by a significant portion of Horizon's profits, dedicated to climate solutions and education for underserved youth. "I want to call it the Horizon Fund," he said, his voice alive with purpose. "Not for PR. For her. For the world we talked about building together." Sophia's eyes lit up. "That's beautiful, Ethan. But it's big. Are you ready to lead it?" He wasn't sure, but the question ignited a fire he hadn't felt since Horizon's early days. Over the next month, he threw himself into the project, working late into the night, consulting with experts, and even reaching out to Claire for advice. She responded with cautious enthusiasm, offering insights from her legal work but keeping her distance. Ethan didn't push, he didn't need her approval, only her perspective. The Horizon Fund launched quietly, with no fanfare, just a press release and a website outlining its mission. But its impact was immediate. Grants flowed to grassroots organizations, scholarships lifted first-generation students, and Horizon's factories began transitioning to solar power. Ethan found himself energized, not by the thrill of profit but by the ripple effect of his choices. Employees noticed, too, his once distant leadership style softened, replaced by open-door policies and genuine curiosity about their ideas. One crisp autumn evening, Ethan attended a fundraiser for a clean water initiative, one of the fund's first grantees. Sophia was at his side, her presence a steady anchor. As he mingled, he spotted Claire across the room, her belly now more pronounced, David at her side. This time, there was no shock, only a quiet gratitude. She approached, her smile warm but professional. The fund's doing incredible work, Ethan, she said. I didn't expect this. I didn't either, he admitted. But I'm trying to be better. For myself, for the people I care about. He glanced at Sophia, who squeezed his hand. Claire nodded, her eyes glistening. You're getting there. She hesitated, then added, we named her Hope. Our daughter. I thought you should know. The name landed like a gift, a reminder of the dreams they'd once shared and the ones he was still chasing. As Claire and David moved on, Ethan felt a weight lift, replaced by a clarity he hadn't known he'd been seeking. He wasn't erasing the past or rewriting it. He was building on it, brick by brick, choice by choice. Later, as he and Sophia walked through Central Park, the city's lights twinkling like stars, she leaned into him. You're doing something real, Ethan. Something that lasts. He pulled her close, the night air cool against his skin. We're doing it, he corrected. Together. And in that moment, under the vast New York sky, Ethan Caldwell felt not like a billionaire or a CEO, but like a man who'd finally learned what it meant to give without counting the cost. The world was far from perfect, but for the first time in years, he believed he could help make it better, one act of kindness, one selfless choice, at a time.